In a bold move that shook the foundations of Ethiopian politics, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed dismantled the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, a coalition that had ruled with an iron grip for nearly 3 decades. This coalition, under the dominance of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, had mastered the art of navigating Ethiopia's intricate ethnic and regional tensions through a mix of authoritarianism and ethno-federalism. Despite its authoritarian flaws, the EPRDF had brought a semblance of stability and governance to a nation frequently on the brink of turmoil. The dissolution of the EPRDF in favor of the newly formed Prosperity Party was a gamble that promised reform and unity, but instead plunged the country into deeper political discord. Critics accused Abiy of using the Prosperity Party as a tool to centralize power and suppress dissent, particularly targeting the TPLF and its allies, who stood to lose their long-held sway over Ethiopian politics. This accusation was not unfounded, as the move alienated many within the sprawling federal system, sparking fears of marginalization among Ethiopia's diverse ethnic groups. As Prosperity sought to cement its power, the political landscape of Ethiopia became a hotbed of unrest. Opposition voices were stifled, political freedoms were curtailed, and the promise of democracy and pluralism seemed to fade. This centralization of power under the guise of unity only served to stoke the fires of ethnic resentment and mistrust towards Abiy's administration. The transition from the EPRDF to the Prosperity Party did not just represent a change in leadership, but underscored a deeper crisis in governance. It exposed the precariousness of managing Ethiopia's ethnic mosaic and highlighted the volatile nature of its regional dynamics. The power vacuum left by the EPRDF's dissolution was quickly filled by rising tensions and escalating conflicts, as various factions vied for influence in the new order, threatening the very fabric of Ethiopian society. As Ethiopia grappled with these growing pains, the vision of a unified, progressive nation under prosperity seemed increasingly out of reach, casting a long shadow over Abiy's tenure and the country's path forward. In the shifting sands of Ethiopian politics, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF, found itself cornered. Once a dominant force within the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, the TPLF wielded substantial clout. However, the ascent of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his overhaul of the ruling coalition marked a stark turning point. The dissolution of the EPRDF in favor of the Prosperity Party was not just a rebranding, it was a direct threat to the TPLF's entrenched power and autonomy. As the political landscape transformed, the TPLF stood increasingly isolated. Opposition to Abiy's reforms and the new Prosperity Party grew within Tigray, culminating in a critical decision. In a bold act of defiance, the TPLF withdrew from the Prosperity Party and boycotted the national elections of 2020. This was not merely a political statement, it was a seismic shift that set the stage for an imminent showdown. Relations between the federal government and the TPLF rapidly deteriorated. Abiy's administration, viewing the TPLF's actions as rebellious, implemented punitive measures. Federal funding to Tigray was severed, and the TPLF was labeled a terrorist organization. The escalating tensions were palpable, with each move intensifying the strife. The conflict ignited in November 2020, when the TPLF proceeded with regional elections, directly challenging the federal government's authority. This act of defiance triggered a swift and severe response from Abiy's government. What followed was not just a military operation, but a descent into a harrowing conflict. The federal forces, along with allied regional militias and Eritrean troops, launched a comprehensive offensive aimed at quelling the TPLF's defiance. The Tigray War, as it came to be known, spiraled into a devastating humanitarian crisis. Reports of atrocities, human rights abuses, and mass displacement emerged, painting a grim picture of the conflict. The war not only inflicted immense suffering on the people of Tigray, but also deepened the ethnic and regional fractures within Ethiopia, threatening the fabric of the nation itself. As the battle raged, the hopes for a unified, peaceful Ethiopia under the Prosperity Party seemed more elusive than ever, underscoring the profound challenges and the high stakes of governance in this diverse country.